Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now we are still a couple of months away from the start of the new Formula One season, but that doesn't mean we can't start thinking ahead about what the year may have in store for us. So I thought this January I'd make some unnecessarily early predictions for F1 2025. This isn't going to be some sort of deep dive into how the season will go, and I have nothing to go off whatsoever, and this is just for a bit of fun, not everything has to be so serious. And maybe we'll come back to these after testing or even during testing, have a good laugh at me, and then make some proper, somewhat more informed ones once we have a bit more info. But anyway, enough of all that, here we go. These are my 4 main and 3 quick-fire-ish predictions, that's 7 in total for the 2025 F1 season. Let's crack on with it, and my first prediction is going to be who will win the World Drivers' Championship title. I've seen a lot of people saying Lando, Norris, Charles Leclerc and even Lewis Hamilton. However, I think you'd be bonkers to write off Max Verstappen at this or any stage, at least before it's mathematically impossible anyway. Sure, Red Bull had their struggles last season and at times he did appear to have the 3rd or 4th fastest car, and yet he still managed to pull off some big results and clinch his 4th title in a row despite the charge from McLaren and Ferrari. Of course, what helped him to cling on in the end was the lead he was able to build thanks to an incredibly strong start to the season, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how things unfold when he hasn't got a gap like that to keep everybody else at arm's length. It's also going to be interesting to see which Red Bull we get. Will they be able to solve their car issues over the winter? You never know. They might sort it all out and turn up and dominate once again this year. Who knows for sure? One thing we do know for sure, though, is if it is going to be close and competitive at the sharp end of the grid, then Max will need his new teammate up there with him to take points away from his challengers. He was left very exposed at times last year, wasn't he? Again, a really intriguing season ahead for Red Bull, but unless they turn up with a shockingly bad car and are a long way off McLaren, Ferrari and hey, even Mercedes, I think Verstappen's experience with title battles, his speed, his aggression, which despite what some claim isn't always a bad thing, as well as his determination as well, of course, will see him take title number 5 come the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi. And by the way, back to a previous point, while we are all talking about a hugely competitive season with at least 3 teams battling at the front, a massive chunk of me wouldn't be at all surprised if Red Bull did in fact solve their issues and win it all comfortably. Whatever happens though, let's hope for some fun along the way. As for the Constructors' Championship, so my second prediction of this video, I'm very much torn, not a massive surprise I'm sure. I wouldn't totally rule out Red Bull, as I've just said, because we don't know what they're going to be able to solve over the winter, but also how well Liam Lawson will do. He could come in and nail it in 2025 and help the team take that title. But I don't think they are the favourites at this stage. Both McLaren and Ferrari have better driver lineups overall with more experience, and so if things are close, I think it'll be one of those two who takes it and will once again have split championship winners. The obvious pick is to back the reigning champions, as they looked in great shape for much of 2024 and developed their car very well as well, to be fair. However, it could come down to how much of a redesign they go with for the new season. Same with any team really, and McLaren has previously talked about making some big changes for this year, and that is always a big gamble. It could see them stay where they are, it could give them a dominant car, or even see them slip back down the order. Cards on the table, it's also very difficult for me to ignore my Ferrari bias. After all, it's been our year pretty much every season since 2009, but the Scuderia's chances will come down to whether or not they can build a good enough car, and that's never a guarantee with any team, let alone Ferrari, as well as how quickly Lewis Hamilton can adapt to his new car and new surroundings, but also which Hamilton we get. Will he be revitalised and find form, or could he struggle again like he has of late? Either way, though, it's still a very strong lineup and should see the team in with a shot of challenging for the title if the car allows. I've got everything crossed. Well, not literally everything. That would be painful in some places, but anyway. With all that in mind, honestly, my head says McLaren, yet I'm a glutton for punishment as I'm going to put myself through it once again. And yes, I'm going with my heart, which says Ferrari. P4 incoming. The next prediction I want to make is around Jack Doohan and whether or not he makes it to Miami as a full-time F1 race driver. Oh, poor Jack Doohan. While F1 is a brutal sport at times, it's hard for me not to feel a little bit sorry for him. He was very much thrown at the deep end with his Abu Dhabi debut, and I'm not going to judge him on one race in what was ultimately someone else's car. But despite the fact he's only had one weekend and hasn't even started his first, he hopes, full season, he's already under huge pressure. Just in case you missed it, Alpine have snapped up Franco Colapinto as their reserve driver on a multi-year deal, and speculation is already rife that he will replace Doohan at some stage, either in season or for 2026. The team, it must be said, has been quick to point out that the Aussie is one of their race drivers for the start of the season, but it is claimed he is only guaranteed the first few races of 2025, so his seat is already under threat before a wheel has even been turned in anger, Alpine seemingly determined to out-Red Bull when it comes to managing young drivers. The thing is, though, I fear the decision has largely already been made unless Doohan turns up and blows everyone away with his driving and results, which will be tough when it seems management are already questioning his position, and if we believe the reports that he only has a handful of races to impress. Look, as the saying goes, speculation remains speculation, but in my opinion, you don't spend a load of money on signing a reserve like Colapinto to a multi-year deal unless you have the intention of moving him up sooner rather than later, especially when you look back and consider they were apparently flirting with the idea of making a lineup change before last season ended, let alone before this one starts. So, sadly, I'm going to say that he doesn't make it to Miami, but add that if he does, I'd be surprised if he makes it much further. I really hope I'm wrong on that one, though, because a handful of races is hardly enough for a rookie to adapt, get up to speed, and show what they can do. All Doohan can do is give it everything he's got and hope that he will be judged on results and that the decision hasn't already been made. Next up, we've got so many intriguing and exciting driver lineups to keep an eye on this year, but the one it seems everybody is talking about is Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. What a lineup and what a battle it is set to be, but who will come out on top? That's the big question. Well, as mentioned earlier, it depends on a number of things, but not least how quickly the Brit settles in and can get up to speed, but also whether or not he can find his form again following a tough last few seasons. Leclerc has been at the team for a long time now, is well settled in and has proven he can deliver when the car allows, so it's going to be tough, but Hamilton is another driver I wouldn't totally write off, at least when it comes to the head-to-head with his teammate. He has proven time and again what he is capable of delivering, and so I think it will be a lot closer than some are perhaps predicting at this stage. I also think Hamilton will win a race or races in 2025 if the car is good enough to challenge. However, because of his experience with the team as well as his speed and ability, I think Leclerc will just about come out on top in that teammate battle. Maybe a bit more comfortably in the qualifying head-to-head, but maybe the race battle will be a little bit closer, and maybe even Leclerc will be a title contender too. I've got to say it though, if the Ferrari is capable of challenging for the championship, it would be foolish to rule Lewis Hamilton out, although I'm sure many will. Before we wrap this up then, let's make those 3 quick-fire-ish predictions for F1 25 because, you know, why not? And you can let me know your answers to these down below. Firstly, will Liam Lawson see out the season as Max Verstappen's teammate? I'm going to say a cautious yes. And although he may not fight for the title and will be well beaten by Max in the end, like most of his teammates are, I think he will surprise a few with his speed and will just about do enough to stay where he is for the year. I'll also quickly add that I've been impressed with Lawson's approach to all of this so far. He hasn't come in talking about matching or beating Verstappen. He's been very clear that he's there to be the second driver and that he's going to focus on his own driving and not what Max is doing. That could go a long way to helping him deliver this season. Time will tell, of course. Next up, which rookie will impress the most? I mean, take your pick. We've got a lot of drivers entering their rookie season in 2025, and most of them will come with high expectations attached to their names. So this is a bit of a tough call. There has been a lot of talk about Ollie Bearman being favourite to take the Rookie of the Year crown, but I'm going to be a bit different and say that Gabriel Bortoleto impresses me the most. If that Sauber is as poor as it was last year, then it will be difficult for him and it's going to be difficult to beat his teammate as well. But if he gets anywhere near Nico Hulkenberg in terms of average gap points and performances, that will impress me massively. Absolutely, keep a close eye on all of them. And to be clear, given how well he's done in his substitute appearances, Bearman could well be the Rookie of the Year. And finally, who will come out on top between Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz at Williams? Again, there are so many great teammate battles to look forward to, and most eyes will be on the likes of Hamilton versus Leclerc and Norris versus Piastri, naturally. But one I can't wait to enjoy is absolutely Albon versus Sainz, and I think it's going to be a great one to watch. Albon is well settled at Williams now and has demonstrated some extra speed and consistency during his time with the team and has led it well. But Sainz is, with respect, a totally different animal to Nicholas Latifi, Logan Sargent and even Franco Colapinto, and I think he'll take the fight to Albon much harder than they did. It appears this is my phrase of the week, but given his own speed, his ability and what he has shown us over the years, not least last season, I'm backing Sainz to just about pip Albon in the standings in 2025 and the teammate battle as a whole. I really do think that almost every driver lineup on the grid is something to keep an eye on and get excited about. It's going to be a fascinating season. And on that note, yes, there is still a long way to go until the lights go out in Australia in March, but this season could well be an all-time classic and I cannot wait for it to get started. That is it for this one then, and yes, before you say it, I know it's a bit mad to be making predictions before we've even had testing, but that's why I called them my unnecessarily early predictions. You can let me know yours in the comment section down below, and for the latest news and analysis from the world of Formula One, head on over to planetf1.com. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.